Hello and welcome to another episode of the Big Time Strength Podcast. Today, I am excited to bring Coach Adam Virgile on. And Coach, he's got a really unique background. One of the things that I want to say before we get into our sponsor ads is I'm pretty pumped up for this. This will be on YouTube also. It's going to be an in-depth look of how to put together with the Google Suite, a way that you can track KPIs, key performance indicators, and what that would look like for you in your setting to try to maximize coach's time and be efficient with what they're doing in the weight room or field or court or wherever you got where you're measuring. So before we get to Coach, just want to thank our sponsors. First, Team Builder. So thankful for Team Builder. And actually, we have a clinic coming up in March, and Team Builder, they gladly accepted to be a sponsor for that also. And super excited, super pumped for that. The clinic that we're putting on is for strength coaches, all strength coaches, and then also football staff. It's kind of like a mixture. And I just know how many people that Team Builder has helped along the way. We're excited for them to partner with us again for that. I'm excited just to have people come together. We'll be spaced out, we'll be safe, we'll follow all protocols, but making sure that we have the opportunity to learn at our clinic, and Team Builder was once again one of the first people to step up to the plate. And so thank you to Hewitt and the rest of the gang. The second sponsor that we have is Powerlift, and Powerlift was also another sponsor that just stepped right up, and super excited for them hopping on with the clinic also, and obviously with the show and the continued support that they always give us, working on another weight room project here at Mount Vernon with Powerlift again. And I'm pumped up for that, trying to get our middle school weight room where we need it to be, and working with Tim O'Neill on that, and Mike Richardson, and the crew at Powerlift does awesome work. So if you're looking for equipment and ways to remodel a room, definitely reach out to them. Without further ado, let's get to our show. Make sure that you guys buckle up, because this will be a fun one. You'll find the YouTube link for our tutorial in the show notes, along with Coach Adam Virgile's, all of his connection spots. So he's got a website that's awesome. You guys can check that out. His YouTube page is Unreal. And then also find him on Twitter. So Coach, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, Preston. This is awesome. And I love what you're doing here. It's really cool.
No problem. And I tell you what, maybe just to give you a little bit of background from me getting to know or finding you. Okay. I think it originally started out maybe last spring or so. I started to see some of the things you were putting out on Twitter. And then I got hooked on your YouTube channel. And now I feel like I've watched a lot of your videos, and I'm just so pumped to learn, to get to know you just a little bit here, and to give our listeners a chance to know you and see all the things that you've got going for them. And maybe this could help open it up a little bit. But I just saw your tagline on YouTube, and it was something to the effect of helping coaches use Excel and Google Sheets, but it was like making sports science easy or something like that. And I'm just like, you know what? There are so many coaches that sports science loads them down and makes stuff tougher. And in reality, it should make things easier. It should help guide our decisions and help us make better decisions instead of the other way. And I think coaches, after seeing some of your work, will be like, man, you're right. This is the way to make sure that sports science is working for us, for tracking and making decisions. So Coach, what led you down this path? What's your background? How'd you get to where you're at, and why are you on this mission?
No, that's great. So I studied exercise and movement science in school. I wanted to be a strength coach. At least that's what I thought I wanted to do. And then throughout school, I got exposed to periodization, cueing athletes, and all that fun stuff. I loved it. What I didn't get exposed to too much of was like technology and using data to help make better decisions. So it was all programming based. And then when I got into the real world, I was very fortunate in that I was hired by a professional ice hockey team right out of school. And right when I got there was data coming from everywhere. We're collecting all this data and we're doing stuff with it. And I was kind of in charge of managing that data collection. And it fascinated me because I didn't really understand what it all meant or how to use it. So I started analyzing it, trying to visualize it and interpret it on my own. And that led to the curiosity led to a passion. And ever since, I've kind of been really into trying to figure out how to use data to make more informed decisions in our practice. The Google Sheets and the Excel stuff specifically came about from, I started my PhD last year and I was teaching a class, and then COVID hit. So everything was in person. This class that I was teaching was a sports science oriented class. And when everyone went remote, the students were like, Adam, we don't have the resources that we need to do this. Can you shoot videos of yourself doing things in Excel or whatever it may be? We were using Excel at the time, and we had a big Excel project. And I said, sure. Like, where do you want it to go? And they said, on YouTube. So I put it on there. And then eventually I released one of the videos that I had done on Twitter, and it received a response that I wasn't expecting at all. And what that led to was a bunch of questions. So they saw what was produced on Twitter, and it's like, oh, have you done this for GPS? Have you done, do you know how to do this, that, the other thing? And then it kind of spiraled into this thing where I was just trying to produce videos to help answer the questions that people kept asking me. So that's where all this kind of comes about. And now what drives me, what my mission is to, at least in this context, is to continue to produce content that helps you or people like you do your job better, or do your job more efficiently if you want to use data to do it.
Coach, that's so awesome. And I think it's kind of cool just to see how backgrounds just tie together and put you in the perfect position to be where you're at and to do what you're doing. And, sometimes, like you weren't expecting to do it, it sounds like, but now, I mean, you fully embraced it. And the amount of content that you've continued to put out is awesome. When you're thinking about, putting content together, throwing stuff out there on YouTube or on Twitter or whatever, there are like so many questions that people ask. There's so many things that you have to account for. How do you keep a running total of like what's next and what you want to do, and how do you help all those people that are asking all those questions?
I don't I don't keep a running total. I just, when someone asks a question, and I have kind of like a database in my head of like what I've done, and if someone asks a question where I'm like, I haven't really shown anything about that before, and that's a good question. Do you think other people have it too? I ask them usually to give me use cases. And once I have use cases, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a real problem. People need to know how to do this. Then I'll just throw together some videos that show you how to do it. And it just keeps on going. I do have a list of things. Some of them are questions. Some of them are just kind of passion projects. But that's my to-do list. And it just grows every day, I guess.
That's awesome. And that might flow right into where we met a little bit, and you're like, okay, what's your problem? I think the first time that I reached out to you, you're like, oh, I'm actually writing I'm doing a tutorial on that right now. And it was basically how to use Google Forms and put that into spreadsheets, and then do that for tracking. And yeah, that was kind of the start of when we were talking, and diving into this video now and putting this together for our listeners to check out. If there is anything that you want them to know about you or about this process, is there anything that you want them to know, or are you ready to get rolling?
I mean, I think it's just important to understand that everything is kind of contextual, right? Like you have things that you want to accomplish, and I think that'll coincide with everyone else. But it's important to not try to take everything for what it is, or just try to apply exactly what it is to their context, and try to think about things that we're doing and apply it to their own context. So they'll have your data is collected in a certain way. They'll have their data collected in maybe a different way, and they need to think about what's going on. I'm going to try my best to explain what's going on as we go through it, and try to apply those methods to what they're doing, or else people will get frustrated.
Yeah, I would like to add on to that. A recent conversation that I was having with Adam was about app script, Google Apps, and I was telling him about a tutorial I was watching, and then it also had some of the code that the person had written, and I sent it his way, and he's like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually trying to learn from scratch, like everything, so I don't have to go and watch these tutorials. Basically what he was saying, and be able to problem solve, and like, maybe that's the biggest thing I took away from that short conversation was like, man, this guy is for real, because he wants to learn inside out, always be a problem solver, and then help other people along the way with it. So I'm excited for this. If you guys want to jump down into the show notes, we'll have a link in YouTube for a YouTube video. where he will go through what it looks like to take data that we're going to collect. So for me, it's testing data in the weight room and like flying tens, pro agilities, and other measurements that we use. And we're going to have that flow all the way from a Google form to a dashboard, or a Google form to a leaderboard, and those type of options. So if you're interested in that, hop over to YouTube, take a look. I know Coach is going to blow this out of the water. Thank you.